Welcome. Today we're talking with Amanda McNally. She's a senior vice president at Wells Fargo Bank, who as a senior compliance manager specializes in fair lending and UDAAP. Amanda has long advocated for a robust compliance program as a bank executive, ABA faculty member, and frequent conference speaker. Amanda, welcome and thank you for joining us at today's Banker Digest.
Larry, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to speak with you today about a variety of compliance topics and just get out some new information.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. So as you kind of implied, there are many banking compliance topics we could discuss today. Let's start with what are the new current compliance issues.
Yeah, so I focus a lot of my attention in the UDAAP space, and that's really where I've been for the past 10 years, is focused on UDAAP and fair lending. And right now, that's actually quite helpful to me because the UDAAP space is evolving incredibly. The CFPB exam manual was actually updated at the beginning of March to reflect that discriminatory practices are now considered under the unfair prong. So this is a big consideration for our banks and our financial institutions. They now have to include things like deposit products and different marketing pieces, and possibly things in areas that they weren't considering from a discriminatory impact in the past. So it's really about evolving their risk management program to incorporate those new topics and considerations, building some new controls and back-end testing procedures around all of that. So it's really an interesting time right now to be in the compliance space, and UDAAP impacts most all financial institutions. And so it's really, an area of big focus right now.
Great. Thank you, Amanda.
Sure.
It's interesting as you talk through this, it appears that the scope of compliance continues to evolve. So, in thinking about that, how do you approach compliance management so that it supports and complements the business strategies?
Yeah, I've learned early on, one of the most important things to do is build credibility with your business partners and build a strong relationship as one of their partners. I think oftentimes compliance is seen as a separate entity that's there to stamp their approval or denial on things. And that's really not my approach to compliance. My approach to compliance is more to integrate that relationship and prove that through having a seat at the table, making recommendations of alternatives that mitigate risk, as opposed to simply saying no. And I think that helps build trust with your business partners. They understand that, wow, Amanda's not here just to tell me what I can't do. Instead, she understands my products, my processes, what our intentions are and our goals for this particular product. And she can help us make some changes that mitigate risk as well. So just building that close partnership and that credibility has really been helpful for me from a compliance consulting perspective.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So, and you kind of referred to it a little bit, with compliance being kind of its own separate thing. We're all familiar with the annual compliance related training that's required. Do you see opportunities to go beyond that and have compliance really integrated into everyday work activities?
Yeah, you got to love that annual compliance training, right? I think if most of us were pressed, we would admit that we probably click through a lot of those slides. And I think we really do have an opportunity to get beyond that. I think thinking about things like, how do you learn as a compliance person? Think about how, do you learn by doing? Most of the time, your business partners and the people in the business and functional areas are going to learn that way as well. So you want to think of opportunities for that. I think compliance training can be integrated in those day-to-day conversations that you have with your business partners, those teachable moments, if you will. I think also things like utilizing real-time training. So if you have a new product, new process, something like that, train on the spot and train them exactly with what is relevant to their particular situation. We don't need to teach them all of the ins and outs of all of our alphabet regulations or anything like that, but we just want to teach them the relevant pieces so that they understand the why, they can connect the dots, and they can really be compelled then to help mitigate that compliance risk.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. Your engaging partnering approach to compliance has to be a great asset to Wells Fargo Bank. And really, thank you for taking time today to give us a glimpse of how you collaborate to build a complementary risk management solution at Wells Fargo. So thank you.
My pleasure. It was great speaking with you today.
Great. Thank you. So in closing, thank you for joining today's Banker Digest. If you have additional questions for Amanda, please see the link in her bio.